I'm Jennifer Gherardi, Chair of Bendigo Bank, Community Bank, Augusta Margaret River. That's my business. I was born in Fremantle, but I spent most of my childhood in the wheat belt, so in Bendigo. At 16, our high school had 12 students. The teacher was teaching from grade 4 to third year high in those days, year 10. So it was a little light on in terms of education. I decided to go to Perth and train as a dental nurse at Perth Dental Hospital. After that, I got married, had children, got involved in family business. I was a volunteer lactation consultant while I had little children. And then when we moved to Margaret River, 81, 82, then I continued on as a lactation consultant, but I really got involved in what was the very first community centre, which we set up in Station Roads. After some time of, school duty down at the Independent Family School, I felt that it was time for me to go and re-educate myself. I had been working in our winery business as sort of backup on pretty much every role, but I really had an urge to explore much more. So I went to Murdoch University as a mature age student, and then I became a documentary filmmaker, independent, for the next 35 years, really, making programs for SBS or ABC and sometimes some short films.
That's my business. That's my business.
I finished up becoming chair of the community bank because essentially there was a vacancy, as often is the case. I actually became a director on the board first because I felt that the bank was important. Its whole culture was particularly appealing, and I learned about the model that it was running, which was so unique. I had been on a board before as a director for 8 years on the Cinefest Oz board based in Busselton, but also operative throughout Augusta Margaret River Shire. That had been a really positive experience, but on any board it's really good to have a change. And so after 8 years, I said, look, I could continue on or I can step back and give someone else a turn. And there was a call out for Bendigo Bank board for new members, and so I really took it on to find out what the bank was about, and that really aligned with a lot of my personal principles on living in a community and taking part, and of course it being a local business owned by local people and providing profit and sponsorship back into the community. This is That's My Business, and I'm Jennifer Gherardi, Chair of Bendigo Bank, Community Bank, Augusta Margaret River. The main challenges of my role: find ways to communicate to our community. Because Bendigo Bank is such an unusual model, in fact in the world, that you can actually have a community-owned bank. Our local shareholders are all from the Augusta Margaret River Shire. They don't have to specifically live here, but they do have to have a direct connection. We have a franchise with Bendigo Bank, so they provide all of the banking services, but we actually lease the buildings and hire the staff. We actually are running what is a small business, and the same as any other small business. So we have a budget to work to, we have marketing campaigns that we need to activate, and the carrot is that the more money this business makes, the more money we can give to our shareholders and the community. So for instance, if we have $1 profit, 20 cents goes to the shareholder and 80 cents goes to the community.
That's my business. That's my business.
It's a very face-to-face model as a bank. Some banks have gone very digital, and Bendigo Bank has a very good digital platform, but what we also focus on is face-to-face. Always been that model throughout Australia for all of the community banks, and that's the difference. And that's why they often say the better big bank, because it actually has a different model than other banks. There are many rewarding aspects to this role. I think to have a diverse board so that you know that the community is well represented. We have Cindy Fisher, who's from MRBTA, Nick Dornan from Augusta, ex-Shire President, Donna Adams, our Treasurer from Augusta, and she has an accounting business. We have Jodie Lane from Fair Harvest, and she tends to look after our environmental portfolio. Julie Kirby is a business analyst and advisor. Matt Cuthbert works for the Shire currently, and Ted Coulter from Augusta. So he was actually on the steering committee that set up the bank 20 years ago. And the reason why they did it was they thought all of the banks were going to be leaving Augusta at the time. 20 years later, those banks have actually gone. Bendigo Bank Augusta branch is the last bank standing in Augusta for the very reason that it's community owned.
Taking care of business.
The future plans we have, it's Margaret River that we really want to grow. At the moment, we are only open by appointment, but as we increase our business, we can start opening permanently a number of days a week. Bendigo Bank, Augusta Margaret River Community Bank, supports Radio Margaret River. We saw this as an opportunity to have a community group supported at the beginning of their journey, and to give the sort of support that will make a difference to them. And so we created an agreement for 3 years of sponsorship to make sure that they had the opportunity to grow and expand. I think a radio station is a very important aspect of a community. Where we see that there's a community building aspect that we can partner with and engage in, that goes right to the top of the list. I'm Jennifer Gherardi, Chair of Bendigo Bank Community Bank, Augusta Margaret River. That's my business.